All right, so let's begin. Good morning, everyone. My name is Yashraj Nayak, and I am the India Community Manager at Progate. It's really great to see you all. Thank you for joining on a Saturday morning. It's not easy, and I would like to congratulate you all for many things, and most importantly is because you are here after crossing so many levels. You have earned your spot, by the way, by completing the command line lesson. So that's a great show of passion which you all have. And I would like to congratulate you all for earning your spot here. So this is me, and uh, I think I was communicating with you over email, and I have 4 years of experience in development and building communities. I am with Progate for over 2 years now. So I'm a developer turned community manager. I have experiences with C Sharp, JavaScript, little bit about Progate, if you do not know already. I think most of you, all of you, have already completed the lessons. You already know the platform, but I just wanted to give you a, a story, backstory behind. So 5 years ago, or 6 years ago, in Japan, Progate was started. Now there are over 1.6 million learners across the world in 100 plus countries. And it was started by two university students, just like you all. And they just wanted to learn programming themselves. They didn't have any idea. And they tried hard. They tried to learn from videos. They tried to learn from books. And because it was also in Japan, they couldn't find any good resources in Japanese language, in their native language. So they wanted to solve this problem, and they ended up. So they started working on Progate as a project, and it ended up being what you see now. It's being used by over 1.6 million learners, and now it's helping a lot of thousands of people to learn programming. So the the point I wanted to tell you, to share with you everyone, share with you all, is that you just have to start, right? You never know the side project or the small project which you have started might end up being something so impactful, so big. So you just have to start, and glad you all already have that passion because you're here. You have earned your spot here by completing that lesson. So keep up that energy, and this is just the beginning. This is the hello world. A little bit about, so you already know about the platform, and if you want to recommend it to anyone, please feel free to do that. There are no videos. I won't talk much about Progate here because we are here to talk more about open source and the technology itself. So all these platforms are just a medium. What matters is the technology, right? What do you do with technology and what do you do with programming? That is what is the mission of Progate, empowering everyone to open new doors, right? And Progate, if you see the name, gateway to programming, that's the literal meaning. And I personally have this in my mind that because we all have been beginner once, and programming has changed our lives, right? And I I joined Progate because I wanted to help everyone, especially all the students, university students in India, to be able to learn these technical skills which will help them to achieve their goals.
So welcome to Open Source, guys. First of all, I want to tell you that you have taken the guts to come and learn something new. Not many people are willing to come out of their shell and try to learn something new. So this is really very good that you are willing to learn something new. And I really appreciate that, because 2 years before, when I was introduced to open source, I was not actually willing. And it is really very encouraging that you guys are open to new stuff. And that is what is actually open source all about. So before we begin, I want to tell a little about myself. I am Bhavna Haritsa, like you all know. I am basically an Android and Flutter developer. I am an intern at GoToMobility. Like I said, GoToMobility is a startup. Actually, it is more than a startup. It is a very good firm, and I am working as a Flutter developer over there. I have been with them for about 2 months now, and I'm still extending my internship before I get a placement offer. And I was a former intern. When I was in my second year, I had interned in a startup called a Spring. It is a bootstrap startup which focused on a lot of notification services. So I worked on a lot about the notification service, which is a service by Google. So about open source, I am a member at OpenMF, FOSSACIA. Like this is OpenMF and this is FOSSACIA. So these are two reputed organizations which get selected every year for a lot of reputed competitions and programs. So they are a very good organizations, I would say, with a lot of highly developed and experienced developers, and using a lot of good tech stacks and stuff. So they are a really good organizations. I've been part of them. I've been contributing to them a lot. And NWOC is, and if there are somebody from IITs or NITs, then they might know or at least have an idea what NWOC is. It is NJAC Winter of Code. It happens for people who are in the beginner level of open source like you guys, to get started with open source. I am a mentor at NWOC. Every year I am a mentor at NWOC where I participate and where I mentor actually a lot of Android based projects and also a lot of algorithm and data structure based products. So now that you know about me, so let's just begin about what is open source. Now we know that you have to get into open source. Okay, you guys are here because you want to get into open source, but what is actually open source? Without knowing what is open source, maybe there is a buzz about it that open source means jana hai, ye karna hai, wo karna hai, but open source kya hai? So people don't know that open source, what is open source? So before you step into something, there is mostly two questions that you need to ask yourself: what and why? Because if you don't have answer to these questions, then I don't think that you should proceed further with that domain or concept or topic or some opportunity or anything that might be. So what is open source? So I think the word itself is very self-explanatory, because open source. So open means what? That something is open, which means you can see it. So that is what is open source, which means that source means source of information or source code for some project. Suppose you have a friend. So let's just imagine or put it in some examples so that it is really clear for you guys. Suppose you have a friend, somebody called X, and X has made an application, an Android application, a mobile app. So X has made a simple app, which is maybe let's just say the app is a BMI calculator, your body mass index calculator. So it gets two inputs, which is your height and your weight. It gets height and your weight as inputs, and then it gets your inputs and calculates the BMI, which is basically a formula, and then it gives your BMI. So it takes your height and weight and it gives back your BMI. I hope that is clear with you guys. So X has made this app, and now X has told you that I have made this app, and now X is telling you that, bro, I have open sourced it. So what does he mean when he says I have open sourced the app? So what does it mean? Like it means that when X says that he has open sourced his app, it means that he is giving you the code that took him to write the app. It means that he is basically declaring everything, all the images, animations, dependencies, libraries, all sort of stuff from A to Z, whatever it has taken for him to make the app, he is just putting it out. So which means that you can see his code, you can literally read and everything his code, you can distribute the code. It is not just to you, but you can distribute to some other person as well. You can distribute to your friend saying, hey, my friend X has made an app. Maybe you want to check the code for it. And you can just give it like that. And you can modify the code. Isn't that interesting? So you can modify some other person's code totally, and you can make better changes and you can alter it if you feel that maybe in an app, if you feel that a button is placed on the left side of the screen, you feel that left is not good, maybe it is not looking better, maybe if you place the button on the center part of the screen, the screen might look even better. You can do that in open source. So open source is all about, so when I say another thing, guys, when I say open source, it means open source projects. So projects does not mean necessarily an Android application. It can be anything. In the tech field, if you do something that is functioning, then you can call it as a project. Now it depends that if it's a big project or a small project, that entirely depends, but it is generally classified as project. So the project that I am referring to can be an Android application, a web application, a machine learning algorithm, or something in Docker or containerization, or simply an if-else algorithm, or an if-else looped algorithm can also be what I say it as open source projects. So that is what. So we will come, let me just give you a heads up before I start. We will be using the term open source and projects and the word contribution a lot. So don't get irritated when you hear these terms a lot. So yeah, let's just move on. So the basic definition is open source are the projects whose code is readily available to us. So those are basically the projects, like I said, that if X has created an app, you can see and view everything that it has taken for X to use that, I mean to create that project. So that is what is open source about. So those are the projects which are readily available to us. You can see the code, you can distribute the code to everybody, and you can also modify the code. So it is really great, right? So, but okay, now we know that why do we need open source? We know, okay, so I mean, now we know what is open source. Now that what is totally clarified for us, let's just go into why. Okay, I can see his app, I can know that, I know that I can read his app, but why do I have to read? I mean, why do I have to see and read his app? What is the benefit for me? So why do we need open source in the first place? Why did it come into the world in the first place? Why is open source actually invented? So why do we need it? So let's just see why do we need it and how beneficial it is for you if you learn it. So yeah, so according, so before actually I was also not very curious about like, why do I have to learn open source? Like I can just sit and do code all day, do my projects, and why do I have to contribute to some other guy's project and make his organization better? Like what is the use for me? So, but I used to think that a lot, but then I understood that the best way you can learn and develop and emphasize your skill is by contributing to others. So when you contribute to an project, you are developing a lot of skills unknowingly and totally subconsciously. So one is that you are able to read their code. Often as developers and as people who code, we often write a lot of code. But more than writing code, it is very important to read others' code. I'll tell you with a live example, because I believe that most of you guys are college students. In about 4 to 5 years, or maybe 4 years, or if you are lucky enough to get a placement in your third year itself, then you will be going to, suppose you get a job at Google. So now Google, is a very big company and they have an established code base and everything. So you don't need to go and write your anything from scratch because they have everything developed priorly. So, but now your talent comes in how you can pick up their code base, because what you have been coding all these years is totally different from what is actually in Google, because their code base is entirely different. And a major skill that we tech people and we developers need to learn is the ability to read others' code. So we can write code all day, but can we read and understand what other person has written? So that is the question. So can we read and understand like another person must have written code in a different way, and you must have written a code in a different way, which both of the codes might have been solving the same use case. Like suppose, like I said, your friend X has written an app has made an app which can calculate the BMI, and you have made the app as well. But if you see the code is not the same. So you realize that, oh, I mean, he has a different style of coding. So now in future, if you intend to modify his code, then you need to understand his way of coding, and that's how you can modify his code. So what I'm telling is, ability to read others' code is a very important skill set in a developer's life, and open source actually helps you to do it. Because when you contribute, as in you modify, so when you are modifying, you are actually contributing. So you are contributing to it, because as in you are making it better than it previously was. So when you are contributing to it, you must understand and totally able to like make changes to the code, and that is why you actually are preparing yourself for the reading ability of others code. So open source actually helps it. So when you are contributing, you are actually reading his code and you are actually understanding his code, which is very important skill these days. So many people who have been doing open source for a long time have told that they have not found any other better way to learn and understand their skills than actually contributing to another's project. So actually, not just about reading, like I have told that I have emphasized in reading, but other than that, there are a lot of other perks that comes with learning open source. So let's just see about it point by point in the next slide. So the first one is it creates enthusiasm. Guys, when you are into a new platform, aren't you enthusiastic? I mean, aren't you enthusiastic that I should learn it, I should ace it, I should do something about it, I should make a name in it. So that enthusiasm, it gets created in open source. So when you are in a new platform, obviously there is a lot of enthusiasm in you that you have to learn it, you have to master it. So that enthusiasm is created widely in open source. You learn to work in a collective collaborative space. So what happens is, when even you guys, before open source time, people used to, like I said, people used to just work on their projects. They used to make a lot of good projects. But does that help? Yes, it does in a very basic way. But when you are out there, when you are contributing to some other's project, and when it's not just you. I mean, there are a lot of 10 other people in it. Like I said, for Asia, I have been contributing is a great organization. And when it is a great organization, there are you obviously you expect not just you, but a lot of other people also who are going to contribute along with you. So you are going to work with them collectively and collaboratively. That way you learn how to work as a team. You know how to divide tasks. You know how to work your task because the same person might be working, and you know how to actually convince him that you can do the task. You know how to collaborate. I mean, you know how to divide the task. You know how to do it perfectly. You know how to just make your code fit into the already existing code. So that is very important. And the third point is you can educate yourself about new tech stacks and tools. So when you are, let's just say you're contributing to a very famous organization, and now that you know that, you know, the organization has a lot of experienced developers who have been in the industrial industry for about 4 or 5 years. I mean, apart after they graduate, they have been in the industry for 4 or 5 years. I mean, that is a really good amount of experience, and they are contributing to this open source project. So they are definitely using new advanced tech stacks and tools which we wouldn't know otherwise. So when you are contributing to an open source project that is really advanced, then you come to know about the tools. Okay, there is a tool, you know, there is a command line interface, or there is a, you know, continuous integration that is happening, which can regulate your code or maybe track the builds and everything. So you know that, okay, there is a tool about it, or maybe we should use it in our project. Maybe we should just test it out. Because, okay, now you get introduced to the new tech stacks and tools by contributing, because you know that the project is contributing, and it is really very helpful to get used to such stuff, and you meet like-minded people. Guys, if I have been talking about, I mean, I'm literally been talking about code and everything about code and open source. If you have an impression that open source is all about contributing code, then I'm sorry guys, it's completely wrong. Open source is like a part is about contributing and getting your code and everything, learning to code and getting your code recognized in some organization and stuff. But apart from that, it is the connections. On a soft skill level, it is the connections. It is how you meet new people. So when you are contributing to an open source organization, you have more than 10 people contributing to the same organization, or 2 to 3 people contributing to the same project that you're contributing. And then you meet them. You learn about them. You learn about them, how they landed up in this project like you did. What made them to think that, okay, we shall contribute to this project? What made them to think like that? So you meet like-minded people. When you meet like-minded people, your developer connection is growing widely. Like you are improving, and being as a developer and the tech people, communications and the network you develop is an integral part. Because in future, whenever you crave for an opportunity, and these people might actually help you find them, or they might actually tell you about new stuff. So when I am with a person, you know, I got introduced to a lot of hackathons, and a lot of workshops because of the open source peers that I made. So they are really cool people, like-minded people out there in the open source. So and those people are always willing to help. So how much ever you take it, it is important to give it back as well. So open source is all about helping and growing together. So when you meet these people and they really help you, and you come to know about a lot of competitions, and when you come to know something like different and something new, you can share it to them, and that is how it happens. Like, it is totally interdependent. And the fifth point, like I said, is you get to know about a lot of events and programs. So when you know a lot of people who are out there contributing to open source and stuff, so they will tell you about a lot of programs and a lot of other events as well, which are happening, which are happening or going to happen. If they have something announced in their college, then they will tell you about it. And if you know something, then you can tell about it. So you will come to know about a lot of stuff that are happening, which you wouldn't normally if you just sit in a cell. And if you just sit in your room and code all the time, you wouldn't come to know about it. So if you go there in an open platform, and if you talk to your peers and stuff, then you will come to know about that. And sixth one is a very important, I would say, and which is getting noticed by potential employers. So before open source, it was actually your projects and your internships or your experiences that would land you up in a very good job, and obviously your coding skills as well. But these days, since open source has boomed and you have been contributing to a lot of stuff, so your open source skills and how much you have done in open source, or how much you have contributed in open source, can also be one of the major skills or something that you can show off when you are applying for potential jobs. So how does it show my skills? So you might ask that, how does it show my skills? Like, what does it do when, how come employers recognize us by our contributions in open source? It is very simple, you guys, because when you are contributing to some other's project, it means that you have the ability to read their code, one. Second one, when you are making effective contributions to their project, it means that you have the ability to write, modify their code, and get some piece of feature working, so which is really good. And the third one is if you have been contributing to that project for a long time, which means you are consistent. And consistency is another key in open source, which you need to make sure, because when you are consistent, there are high chances that you get better opportunities from the organization itself. So these are the skills that the potential employers look into, where you can read their code, you can understand their code quickly, and when you can write and modify good codes. That's what you're exactly doing in open source, right? You are literally reading some other's code and contributing to it, and that's it. And and open source does not necessarily mean that you're contributing. You can also make your own project as open source and expect some other people to contribute as well, so that it happens likewise. It is not just that you are contributing and you are doing everything. You can just make your project open source, and you can tell them the idea that, I have a website like this, I wanted to make it like this, and you can tell that, and potential contributors will contribute to your project as well. So it happens likewise, you guys. So yeah, and did I mention about all the exciting programs? Like I did mention, I told that, I told that there are a lot of exciting programs coming up with open source, but let us see what they are. And let me just introduce you, like Krunal and Yashraj already told that there is Google Summer of Code for You, which is a very familiar term, the infamous Google Summer of Code, which a lot of people expect and try to do in their college time, and they want their GSOC tag in there, which is very famous, and I totally appreciate the program, and the program is completely based on open source. So I have seen a lot of people who have learned open source and developed the skills of open source just so that they can do Google Summer of Code. But if you are in a bubble that, Google Summer of Code is the only program, then let me just break the bubble for you and tell you that there are a lot of programs coming up which are equally reputed, equally prestigious, and equally advanced, and totally thrilling to do, such as GSOC, which is Outreachy. Here is an Outreachy program for you. which is basically kind of similar to GSOC. I mean, the fundamental idea is to contribute to open source, but Outreachy is a lot. I mean, Outreachy is like I said, it's kind of same, but Outreachy focuses more towards women and to the women empowerment. So I see that I have a lot of women in my audience. So the women out there can definitely try Outreachy. It is for you guys, and it is really very helpful, and it is a really a good experience. Like these are like all guys, I wouldn't say these are competitions or something like you have to crack. It's not like an IIT JEE mains exam. It is as fun as it sounds, and as like it is totally fun if you see it that way. Perspective matters, and it is just a program. So when you get into the program, it is like a good internship that you have. It is like a good experience that you get at the end of it. And experience and learning is what matters, because we are all at the very early stages of our career. And also Google and Outreachy and Season of Docs, everything gives you a huge amount of stipend, which will be really helpful for you guys for travels or to pay your college fee or something like that. So let me just tell you a brief idea about what actually GSOC is and what's the buzz about it, like why everybody wish to do GSOC and stuff. So Google Summer of Code is a 3-month program which is sponsored and hosted by Google. So every year, what Google does is during the time of February or March, or sorry, January or February, it just announces 100 plus open source organizations. So there are a lot of 100 plus open source organizations. Like I said, MIFOS and FOSSACIA participate every year in GSOC. So these organizations have about 10 to 15 projects under their realm, which is different projects. Like it can be Android project, it can be web project, it can be a server-based project, it can be a servlet, machine learning project, algorithm, anything. It's a Flutter project, it can be anything. And so yeah, there has a lot of bunch of projects under them. What it does is it selects about I mean, every organization is given slots. We say it's slots. So it's about let us say, to put it in a good way of explanation, let us say MIFOS. So MIFOS has got 10 slots this year to this MIFOS has got 10 slots this year, and they can select students for Google Summer of Code under MIFOS. So what you do is, suppose you get selected for Google Summer of Code under MIFOS, it means that you are going to work with MIFOS for the next 3 months, like providing effective code and stuff. And then you are going to make effective contributions. At the end of 3 months, you will receive a good amount of stipend, which is $3,000 US. And I mean, the dollars are split up. You will receive a part of the stipend in the first month, in the second month, and the third month. But the end of 3 months, you will have a solid $3,000 US in your hand, plus a good amount of experience, which is very much needed. A letter of recommendation from Google and from the organization that, okay, I have this, to whomever it may concern, that I have this candidate and he has done in it and he was really good in it. And that letter of recommendation, you guys, is just it is nothing less than a piece of treasure. I mean, you will come to know about it when you apply for jobs, how much letter of recommendations work. And the next one is you have that Google Summer of Code certificate forever in your life. That it is really worth giving it a shot. So what happens is, now how can you get into Google Summer of Code or any organization is that you have to contribute prior to the application period. So there is a period called as application period, which starts at March, where you have to draft a proposal about yourself, about what you have done to the organization before, and what you are going to do if at all you get selected in GSOC. So you have to draft a proposal and you have to submit it to them, and where you can submit it to your mentors. So there will be a huge amount, like there will be mentors who have a huge amount of experience and stuff, who will guide you all the way through the 3 months if at all you get selected, so that you can, you will not have to do it all alone. Your mentor is there to guide you all the way through. Isn't that cool, really? I mean, I wish everybody should get an opportunity like that. So yeah, so you draft a proposal and then you submit it to them, and if at all you get selected, then you can contribute to GSOC. for the next 3 months. It happens from June, July, August, 3 months. At the end of August, you will be completing Google Summer of Code. Whereas Outreachy is something of similar, but Google Summer of Code happens only once a year, whereas Outreachy happens twice a year. So they have their winter batch and their summer batch. So if at all, and Outreachy provides a little larger stipend, which is $5,500 US dollars plus $500 they provide extra for if you at all you want to attend any foreign conference or any conferences that you really want to attend, then you can cover your travel expenses in that $500. And apart from that, it provides you, like I said, $5,500 US dollars, which is really cool. But Outreachy is same as GSOC. The number of organizations in Outreachy are a little bit less, so that you have to really go through and see that what actually organizations are there, and it happens twice a year. So the next is Google's Season of Docs, which is again a famous, it is a new baby, like it has launched recently, which is, as the name itself is very evident, that it is all about docs and documentation stuff. So it is not really code. Like the Google Summer of Code is all about code, whereas the Google Summer of Season of Docs is all about docs and documentation stuff, where you have to document like how it is documentation is equally important, that is equally important as you write a code for an organization. If there is no proper documentation, no one would understand what you've been writing and what are the future plans. So the need for good documentation is necessary, and which is why Google opened this Season of Docs for providing good youngsters like you and also me. Come on guys, I'm also a youngster. So to participate and stuff and improvise the documentations of a lot of organizations. And not just this, these I have selected because these are some of the most reputed and organization which you hear come across these terms quite a lot often. But there are more such opportunities as well. So let me see one thing. So there is one thing for you guys, which is the Hacktoberfest. So Hacktoberfest is the virtual fest which happens every year between October 1st to October 31st by DigitalOcean. This is something DigitalOcean organization hosts and organizes it every year. It is especially for newbies in the open source world, which is it is definitely for the newbies in open source world, so that they can get used to the open source. And when you are a beginner, if you are a beginner, and GSOC are all, you need a little bit of experience to work in it, but Hacktoberfest is completely new and you can give it a shot. And it is really a wonderful organization where, wonderful opportunity where you can actually contribute to open source. And the benefit of Hacktoberfest is you get t-shirts, you get stickers from DigitalOcean, which is really very, very encouraging, and really, it just builds up the enthusiasm when you create. So what do you have to do to pass the Hacktoberfest? So actually, what is Hacktoberfest? Like I said, it is a 1-month program where you have to make 4 pull requests. So okay, you people who are not in Git and who don't know Git and stuff, we will learn about what pull request and all is in the later part of this session. But let's just tell me what actually Hacktoberfest and how it functions. So you have to create 4 pull requests to any open source organization. It is not a criteria. You can have to open 4 pull requests to any open source organization. And then when those four pull requests get merged, you will receive a free t-shirt and exciting stickers from Hacktoberfest as a token of your contribution to the world of open source. So what you can do is you can choose your favorite organization or any organization or even your friend's organization or a project or a repo if he or she is having. And then you can make pull requests. You need to make effective contributions to it and really good contributions that will change the outlook or that will really bring good changes in the project. And then when those 4 pull requests get accepted by the organization, then you get an exquisite tea from the Hacktoberfest, and also you get, like I said, a lot of amazing stickers as well, which you can stick it in your laptop and stuff. So it's that simple, you guys. You just have to make 4 pull requests, and as soon as they get merged, you will be getting a t-shirt and stickers. It's that simple. And it's really very encouraging if you are really new in the world of open source. So let me just show you folks all over the world who have, this is how they have to, this is the Hacktoberfest t-shirt in the year 2017. Every year Hacktoberfest, every year Hacktoberfest changes the t-shirt design, and they make new t-shirts, better t-shirts with good designs. So these are folks all over the world who have participated actively in the Hacktoberfest, and they have got a t-shirt. And you can observe that the dog is also wearing a Hacktoberfest t-shirt. So yeah. So now that we know what is open source and why is open source, I hope everybody is with me. If you have any doubts, like I'm giving a break, you can maybe ask some doubts until then, and then we can move on how we can do the open, how we can actually learn open source. If you have any doubts, just please unmute yourself one at a time and please ask me. I am open to your doubts. Anybody?
Hello, ma'am. I want to ask like how to choose the organization for this Hacktoberfest.
Okay.
Where to make the pull requests?
Okay, sure. I can tell you that. May I know your name? I'm not able to see you.
Ma'am, my name is Sanjay Kumar.
Okay, hi Sanjay. So I would like to tell you that organization, like there are multiple organizations all over the world where an open source is really a very big platform. So there are multiple organizations all over the world, like I said, which handles Android, web, or any domain you name it, and you have it in the open source. But do you know that organization? So Sanjay, everybody, I am an Android developer and I am a Flutter developer, but I don't know what happens in the web. So when I wish to contribute in the open source, I would look for organizations that have Android as a base, that have Android projects, or at least something that I can learn very quickly. So it already depends on you that what skills do you have. So if you learn, if you know web, then you can choose web projects. If you know Android, you can choose Android projects. So that is how you need to choose a project depending on your or organization depending on your skill set. So if you know, so if you if you are an Android developer and you have no idea on web, then you cannot just go and choose a web product and you can, I'll contribute to this. That doesn't happen. So you will be totally stranded because you don't understand anything about the web, and you will be totally like, you will be totally out of ideas. But whereas if you know Android and you choose an Android project, then you will be like, okay, I know this, and maybe I can get used to that and I can contribute to it. So it depends on what skill set you have. So if you have a skill set on a particular domain, then you can approach and look for organizations that have the same domain as you have. I hope that has clarified, Sanjay. Has it?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Like I wanted to ask, like you said, very much correct. I know this thing. Like I have to choose the organization which preferably match to my skill
Yes.
set. But
Yes.
ma'am, there should maybe like some listed organizations like for Google Summer of Code and Outreachy and then Hacktoberfest. So how to see the organization name and reach to them and make the pull request? Where are we have to search for that?
Okay. So for Google Summer of Code and Outreachy and even Google Season of Docs, like I said, so the Google Summer of Code websites have their archives page where they have their organization, the list of organizations every year that is being selected every year for the past like 10 to 15 years. So you can see the list, like you wanted a particular list of organizations, good organizations. So the Google Summer of Code website has it. I will try to just paste it in the chat box so that you can see it. And and even Outreachy has their list of organizations that get selected every year. So you can skim those organizations and you can see that which organizations perhaps get selected every year, and you can see if they have projects that matches your skill set. So if you want a list, then yes, there is a list that the Google Summer of Code, Outreachy, and even Season of Docs have their list of organizations that get selected every year. And about approaching the organization, what you can do is, suppose you select an organization, suppose you select an organization Apache. So you have this organization Apache, so you have to go through their website and to their GitHub page. I mean, what is Git and GitHub we will see a while later, but you have to go to their GitHub page, and will have to see, like every organization has a way of communicating with their peers. Like I said, there might be hundreds of people in an organization. So you have to see how they communicate. There must be a channel like Gitter or Slack or IRC channel, or they might have some mailing list. You have to see and you have to contact that. Hey, I'm Sanjay Kumar and I am a student in so and so college and I have these skills. And I have seen that, you know, you guys have these projects as well. So I would like to contribute to this project and I am willing to contribute to this project. And I mean, I would just, you know, you just have to present yourself and just get introduced to the group of the open source group. And from then when people will start helping you when you need. But the main thing in open source is after you choose an organization and after you think stuff, try to ask a lot of good intelligent questions and just don't ask them questions like how do you do this, how do you do that, and for answers that can be easily available in Google. So that is how you approach. You have to find their communication channel by which they communicate with each other. All the members in the organization communicate with each other, and 100% of the organizations have their own communication channel. It is via Slack or Gitter or the mailing list, and you have to find the channel and you have to I mean, you have to join the channel and you have to introduce yourself. And then you have to see all the code and you have to see that, you know, does the organization have something, some projects that are relevant to your skill set? And if they do, you have to start contributing to it. So that is how it works. I hope it is clear now.
Yes, ma'am. Suppose, ma'am, like I choose some organization and it is somewhat more like related to my skills. It not totally, somewhat. So
Yes.
I wanted to like contribute to their projects, and similarly, at the same time, I want to learn while contributing. So while I make a request to get in touch with the organization, will there be any mentor assigned to me, or any person will be in my contact who will be guiding me throughout the open source contribution?
Yes, there will be mentors assigned to you. No, not, I mean, there will be mentors, but not assigned to you. So if I am a mentor, suppose if I am a mentor of an organization, say startup or something, if I'm a mentor of an organization startup, which means that of a project startup, let us say, which means that I will be handling all the contributors and I will be guiding all the contributors under startup. I will not necessarily be guiding only Sanjay Kumar
Yes,
or
yes,
anybody
ma'am.
in the organization. I will be guiding overall who all are contributing to the project. But if you get selected in GSOC or something, if you are into a programming like programs like I mean open source programs like I said, then you are assigned a particular mentor just for you, so that you both can work together for the next 3 months or 4 months or however it works. But if you are generally without any of these programs, if you're generally contributing to an open source organization, then you will not be for most of the time you will not be like assigned any, or like a mentor will not be completely dedicated to you. So what does you have to, but you can approach, you can 100% approach and ask any number of doubts that you have to your mentor. You will come to know who the mentor is as when you start contributing, or like I said, when you go to their communication channel, people, if you ask, people will tell you that these guys are the mentors. You can converse with them, you can just ping them and communicate with them. But you can ask any number of questions to your mentors, like I said, intelligent questions, not the questions you can commonly find an answer on Google. Please, I mean, you should avoid asking such questions, and you should have intelligent questions so that the mentor is impressed by you and he assigns and gives you a good amount of tasks. So as a mentor is concerned, you will not be assigned a specific mentor when you are regularly contributing to open source. But if if you're in programs such as DSOC or Outreachy or anything as stuff, then you will be assigned. And as far as Hacktoberfest is concerned, it is all about getting a pull request merge. So I don't think you need any mentor for it. You need to just select a good organization that matches your skill set. I mean, it is a little bit of searching and stuff to find the perfect organization, but I guess it's worth the time. You need to find that organization, and you need to literally approach it and just contribute to it, basically. Is that okay, Sanjay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So yeah, so now that we have the doubts cleared, let's just move on to how we can actually start contributing to open source. Now that we know that what is open source, we know why there is open source existing in the world, and now we should know about how to contribute it. So let's just see how we can contribute to the open source. So learn code. Like I said, the first thing is, I mean, open source is just not about coding, you guys. It is about documentation. It can be about animation. It can be about graphics or anything. And but it is, I would say I can safely say that it is 70 to 80% of it is about actually code. So you need to learn, have a good grip of code. Obviously, we cannot code on everything. Like a person cannot know everything. But what is important is you choose a line that is most interesting to you, that captivates you, that makes you wanting to code every day. You choose that line and you master in it. You learn it. You see a good amount of projects. You join courses, and then you join a lot of projects and stuff, and then you literally like learn everything about the code. Go to the advanced, deep, root, bottom level where you can learn everything about the code. So you need to learn that. And maybe if you are confused on what I want or what I don't want, you can definitely approach me. If I can give you my LinkedIn ID and Twitter ID. You can approach me, or you can even approach your seniors and stuff on figuring out, if we call it seniors or somebody in the industry or someone you know, about how to figure out what you really want. There are multiple organizations which I understand can be completely overwhelming. So, but these are the initial first difficulties that we all have before we figure out actually what we need, which is completely okay. So, I mean, you need to figure that out, and you need to. So the basic thing is you need to figure what you want, and you need to learn and completely advance in it so that you can code in it thoroughly. And then the next thing, like I said, is find a project. Since we're talking about open source, you need to find a good organization and project that has that matches with the technical skills that you do, and you can finally get started and code in it. So one thing. So how do you code in it? So before you know that, okay, now we know that we need to learn code and we need to find an organization to code in it. But how do we code? For that, you have your lifesaver, which is Git. I think Git is the, I mean, as soon as Git was released, many people find it tough, and many people find it complicating, and many people find it totally like, it is so complex. How do I do it? The commands, oh my God. So they think like that. But it is nothing of that sort. If you really master and if you really learn Git, I would say that it is your lifesaver. You would feel totally handicapped without Git after you learn Git. It is totally the best platform I would suggest. Git, what is Git again? Git is an open source software which is used to handle your projects, which is used to track down the history of projects. So let us say that I have made an app again. So I have added, so one day, you cannot finish an entire app in one day, right? You will be working in subsequent days to finish the app. So today I have added this button. I have added in tomorrow. So today I have added this button and I didn't do anything. So I just push and I have it. So next tomorrow I have added a text in it. So now what I have a text and I have a button. So button I did it today and the text I added tomorrow. What Git does is it records your history of changes and it displays to you. So Bhavna Haritsa, you have added this text today, and you have added this button yesterday. So it helps you to track down the changes that you have done in the project, so that it is very helpful to you to see your progress, as in where are you and your overall contribution, like how much have you worked and stuff. So that is why Git is a very important tool. Everybody should actually learn it. If you are willing and intending to participate in the open source world, then Git is something you need to learn. I would say without Git, there's no open source. So what is Git? It is a distributed version control system. So to talk more about version control system, this is a very new term for you guys, I think, version control system. So the version control system is something, which is used to, like I said, track down your changes, mark your progress, and see that, how far are you and stuff. So to do that, that is very important. And it helps you manage your history in the activities, like I said. That, today I have done this text field, yesterday I had done this button, day before yesterday I might have changed the background from white to blue or something like that. And that is used to track down your activities that you do in your project. And it is used for coordinating work among peers and programmers. Like I said, open source organization is just not about you. like Sanjay asked, how to find an organization. And if he finds an organization, it is just not about that Sanjay is only contributing to the organization. There might be a lot of other people as well contributing in the organization. So you need to know it is, so Git is an effective tool when more than 2 or 4 people, when a bunch of people are working on the same project. It is helpful on coordinating and actually organizing the works among peers so that the code doesn't get clashed. So when 2 or more people work on the same project, there are more than chances that the code might get clashed. So something happens to the existing code. So Git actually helps you from that. When 2 or more people are working on a project, it helps you to keep the code clean. It helps you to many people to collaboratively work on the same project without any hassle and hurdle. So that's how useful is Git is. And so let us now we know that of Git is actually more of a command line work that happens, and it is used. So when you learn Git, you need to learn some commands on Git. And so I am now giving you a basic idea about what Git is, but I will surely recommend learning some courses and stuff before you practice Git, and practice a lot of commands and stuff. Work on some dummy projects and practice a lot of commands, and that is how you can learn Git, and actually refer to a good tutorial and stuff before you actually go, and that's how you'll get an idea about the whole version control system, how Git was organized, a little bit of history about the Git, and how you can learn commands as well. So let us just go through the basic terms of Git, and which are totally basic, which will help you get started, which is a Git repository. So now that I said, so let me just read out the definition that I've written over here, which is Git repository is Git stores data in the form of repository where you can have your own project files, which you can change from time to time and maintain a history of it. So Git has these data. So basically, like I said, right, a project. So an app you have. When you store the app in Git, it is in the form of a repository. What is a repository? Apart from technical field, coming to plain English now, what is a repository? So a repository is something that is used to store some information, that is used to store information. So that is what is exactly Git repository, that it is used to store your project. So when you say that I have stored my project, you say that I have stored my project in so and so repository. So I have my app, BMI. So X our friend has this BMI app. So X has stored his BMI application in the repository called BMI app repository. So you can give any name to your repository, and yes, and your project will get stored in that particular repository. So repository is nothing complicated. It is just the space where your project will be stored. So this is a repository, and this is your project. Your project will exactly go and sit in the repository. So in this repository, you can access this repository for your future changes and tracking of files. So it's that simple as it is, just a place where your project is stored. Now we have 2 types of repository coming to repository. One is the local repository, and second one is the remote repository. So what happens is, so let me just tell you a good example. Now let's just take the plain example of the BMI app. I have this BMI app I have made somehow, and I have pushed the BMI app to GitHub. When I say I have pushed, it means that I have put my project in GitHub. Now my project is in GitHub. So now my project is in GitHub, which means that the GitHub will track my time-to-time changes and stuff. So when a project is in GitHub, the repository that is in GitHub is called as the master repository. Master repository means that your repository is in the GitHub, and the changes that you make in your system is not going to affect the code over there unless you push the changes. Push the changes means we are pushing the changes. It literally means push. You are pushing the change from your local system to the master repository. So let us consider master as a server over here and your local computer as a client over here. So now you are doing some changes over here, but this master doesn't know. How will it know unless you push these changes to the master? So when you push these changes, the master will get intimidated. Oh, there is a change that the local person has done, and he is pushing it. So okay, I will accept this change, and it will update the change, and it will be a totally updated version of the previous thing. So now you've made changes again, it will not be affected until you push these changes. So now that, it will have updated version and it will have a previous version before the changes was committed. So before, suppose you think that now you have pushed a change and you feel like, no, I don't like this change, maybe I'll just revert it back. You can do that. Now you can tell the master that I don't want this change. I want it to be the previous way it used to be. And now the master will show up the change that was before made. So that is how it works. So the master repository is what is in the Git server. It is what in the GitHub, which is not completely unaffected by the changes that you do in the local computer unless it gets pushed into the master. So what happens is when 3 or 4 people are working on the same project, you cannot just push your changes into the project. Because let us imagine X has pushed a change and there is another guy Y who has pushed a change. Now both their changes might get crashed. Sometimes it might get in a code base. So at that time, we need some good mechanism on how we can track the changes about X and how we can track the changes about Y and get their codes pushed without any crash or without any disturbance in the already existing code. Because to be able to save the already existing code is important. So I hope you have got an idea about what is a local repository. So a local repository is a copy of the repository that you have in your system, in your laptop, that you can access anytime. Whereas the master repository or the remote repository is something that you have it in your GitHub, which is stored in your GitHub as a part of your project. So that whatever changes, suppose there's a button on the left and you're moving it to the center, then it is something stored in your local system. The master repository will not come to know about it. So that is the difference between local and master. So now let's just see some basic Git commands I would like you to take before we just go into some other, let's just see some basic commands that are in Git that helps you get started. Guys, these are the basic commands. There are a lot of commands in Git that you need to learn, but I will show you some good resources to learn Git and stuff. But let's just go through some basic commands so that we just clear out the air in between. So there is git init. So what init stands for initialize. So you have a project, you have an Android app X. Now let's just take the good old BMI example, you guys. So you have a BMI app which is used to calculate the body mass index of your app, of your body, and then you have created the project. So now it is just a simple project that you have in your system. But to push it into GitHub, you need to tell Git, okay, so now this is my project. I want it to get converted into a repository and push it into GitHub. So that is why, and how will you do it? And it is by the command called git init. So the git init command, there is a small command line that is used. So when you use the command git init, I hope you can see the second last dollar symbol git init, which is used to initialize an empty Git repository. So there is an empty repository has been created for you, and now you can store this particular project of that in that repository. So it has initialized a repository for you to store an app or anything in that particular repository. So see, when you run the command git init, it says that initialized empty Git repository in your this is user's computer name and stuff, in your directory or location, whichever location you want, you can initialize the empty Git repository over there. Okay, so git add. Coming to git add, so the Git, if you learn, there is 2 areas. So let me just tell you about how it happens, exactly the pushing, how it happens. So now I have 5 files. So I have 5 files with me. So I have 5 files where I have, let's just say 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D, E, we have 5 files. I have made changes in all the 5 files. But I am very much impressed of the changes I have made in A, B, and C. But I am not sure, I am just doubtful about the changes I have made in D and E. So I have made changes in all the 5 files, but I want the changes. I am very much impressed of the changes I have made in A, B, and C, but I'm not sure about D and D. I need to work a lot. I need to work a little bit more on it. So because I'm afraid that these changes might get lost, so I want to actually push the changes I have made in A, B, and C. So what happens is, now I will use the command git add. So let's just first go to the definition. Maybe it will be a little clear for you guys. So add files into the staging area for Git. Before a file is available to commit to a repository, the file needs to be added to the Git index. So let's just see Git index later on. We'll see about the staging area. So what is the staging area, you guys? So the staging area means that we are putting it, so these files are all behind. So now I want A, B, and C to be pushed into the GitHub, because I know that, I'm happy with it and I want it to be in the GitHub in the master repository. So I'm only selecting A, B, and C. I'm leaving D and E behind. I'm selecting A, B, and C and putting it into the staging area. I'm just putting it out front so that, okay, you guys, A, B, and C, you are ready. You can get pushed into the GitHub. So now that, okay, you're putting it into the staging area in the front, and now I'm leaving C and E behind because that needs a little bit of work. So I'm putting A, B, and C in the front. So that is staging area. I'm preparing it to get pushed into the GitHub. So now it is in the staging. So now what you can do is you can do git add A, git add B, and git add C. So now what you have to do is git add A, B, and C. And that means that A, B, and C have come to the front, which means that they have left C and E behind. And they have come to the front, which means that they are ready to get pushed into the master repository. And now the next commit, so that is what add is all about. So the next thing what happens after add is you commit the file. So what does mean by commit? What do you mean by committing? You all guys must have come across this word, that is the commit. As in normal, he is committed to a relationship. That means what? He is committed to himself. Just in normal terms, you guys, you must have come across this word commit, which means that, okay, I am committed to this particular thing, which means that I'm going to do it. I mean, if the changes are like that, I'm going to just do it. So that it means that. So commit as in the changes that you make, you are going to save the changes. So now you have made A, B, and C. And if you are putting in the staging area, and now if you commit the changes, it means that the changes are saved forever. That means that no matter what, and so because you're in the local system, there might be changes that, the system might get crashed or something might have happened and the local changes can just go away. We don't want that, right? Especially if we have put so much hard work in making the change. We don't want the change to just go away because of a stupid crash or something. So when we commit the changes, Git makes sure that when we come back to the project after some time, the change are already there. The change is already there. Whatever hard work changes you have made, the change is already there in the GitHub, in the Git. So it makes sure that when you commit, the changes are already there. After you have committed, it means that, okay, you have finalized these changes. You have committed your changes, you have finalized. Okay, you wanted to push it so badly. So you committed, and then finally you can push it. So the command for push is git push origin master. So that is the command for pushing. So see, let's just see but before that, let's just see what commit. Let's just finish the thing about commit. So git commit, you have added your files. After adding your files, you need to just simple command, guys, git commit /m. M here stands for a message, your commit message. What are you committing? So I'm committing these 3 files, A, B, and C. Okay, these files have the code for calculating, okay, for depicting the health condition of a patient depending on his BMI. So I have these 3 files. So I'm telling Git that, okay, so I'm telling that, okay, these 3 files have the code for it depicting the health condition. So my commit message would be git commit /m added files to tell the patient about his health condition. So this will be the commit message, and commit message is totally useful to you guys, because when you commit your changes with a message, it means that in the future, when you want to track down your past events, what you've been doing, you can see the message that, okay, I added files to calculate the algorithm, added files, okay, change the images of the screens or something. Okay, you can see that, oh, at this time I did this, at this time I did this. So it is really important to write sensible commit messages, and commit messages that is not commit messages that will actually tell and depict the changes that you have made in the particular repository or in the particular files. So and one thing is, the commit message should not be very long. It should not be more than 1 line. like often I've seen people writing 4 to 5 lines or a big paragraph in a commit message. Commit messages are supposed to be short and crisp and up to the point. So it is like my first commit message, like it have said. It is your first commit message. Suppose you add a button to your something and you're committing that change. It means like added a button on so and so screen. It is just for you to track down the event, to track down the changes that you have made. So it needs to be very crisp and short and up to the point. So you guys make sure that whenever you commit, don't add a commit message more than one line, and let the commit and let there are certain rules to write a commit messages, and let the first capital letter of capital, like commit message is nothing but a sentence. So in a sentence, how the first letter is always in caps, the commit message sentence also should always start with a capital letter. And do not use any emojis or something in your commit message. That you have to make it so professional and something very, very up to the point as well. So avoid using any emojis or some stuff. People use a colon and this angular braces for commits. Please avoid that. Let it be very professional and stuff. So that is about, we have just come about some basic commands in Git, which is the git init, git add, git commit, and I have told you about git push as well, which means that when you have finally committed your changes, it is ready to get pushed. Now you can push it, finally just push it into GitHub. It means that git push origin master. So this is the command that you will be using, which means that your changes that it was in your system will get updated in the master GitHub repository that is on the web. So it will get updated in that. So far, any doubts? Guys, I'm open to hear any doubts. Are you guys with me, or you want me to repeat something, or you want me to go through something that you have not understood?
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a doubt. Like I am using the GitHub presently, but I don't use like this Git commands and the command line interface, which is used for this all the such stuff. I just simply go to my GitHub profile and create a repository there only with the within the browser, and then upload my files and write the README and all that documentation. What is the basic difference between these two things? Like both the way we are creating repository.
Okay, so it is the same, Sanjay, again. So it is the same. So it is not much difference. You can create a Git repository on the web, like you have this open, you have the green color tab where is new given. I hope you must have created from that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you can create from that. But how will the project in your system know that this is the GitHub repository that you want to update? So you have a project in your system, local system. Now how will you push it to GitHub?
Like presently, ma'am, I didn't done that advanced project. I simply does projects on my the IDE and have a file uploaded. Like I have done so many projects on Python. So simply I create a repository there and upload that file there. And whenever I have to make any changes, I go to that page only in the web browser, and there is an edit option there. So I just edit 2 or 3 lines.
Okay,
Yes,
okay. So for beginner level, something like you said, you haven't tried the advanced, that is okay. I mean, but I wouldn't suggest going and doing everything from the browser, because when you create good Python applications, like you said, you work on Python. When you create something based on Python, I mean, data sciences and machine learning is all based on Python. So when you create Python, you cannot just do everything from the web browser, because all the changes you cannot do, because when you create an application or something in Python, you need to test it, right? And how can you tell? You need to test it. You might have to run the app. You might have to see the web browser, how it looks on an actual web page, or you might have to even see how the algorithm works by just printing out the output. So you cannot basically do everything from the web browser, though you can do for some minor changes, you can use the web browser, but I wouldn't suggest that. I would suggest you to practice. So when you want to initialize a repository, there is a command, like I said, there is git init. If you have already made a repository and you want to connect that repository to your existing project, then there is a command called git remote origin, git remote add origin, for which you guys need to really go and see about Git and learn about all that GitHub stuff, which is really helpful. There is a lot of commands and stuff which can help to link. But if you are a development thing, I would suggest you to not just go through the web browser and stuff, but actually practice these commands the hard way, which is through the command line. because that will
Yes,
help
ma'am,
you a lot
definitely.
in the future. I see that there are a lot of other tools that are coming up like Git, Kraken, and you can, if you are using a Visual Studio Code, then you can actually directly just commit it and stuff. But the old way and the hard way and the best way is to learn by using the command line. So it will really help you in your future if you learn Git the hard way. And you need to practice a lot of commands. Not just, you can go to the browser and change all the files, but that is not advisable. You need to learn to push, you need to learn to pull, and you need to learn to make pull requests and stuff. You need to learn to do all that, and that is how it will help you in your future competitions as well. Yes.
And one thing, what more I want to ask, like when we create some changes to our project, like I have a repository on my GitHub, and then I created a local repository of that on my system. And suppose I made like I have 100 lines of codes, and I have to change like 50th line or 51st line of my code, and there is something change which I have done on my system. So when I this commit that change and push it to my master repository, that same thing will be updated there on the same line, or like this thing
It
as
will be
this way
updated
it
on the
is
same
working.
line, Sanjay. It will be updated on the same line. So whichever line you have updated in your system, it will be updated on the same place in the Git. If you push it on the GitHub, like I have explained the command git init, git add, git commit, and then git push. If you push it the same in the same trajectory, then it will obviously update it in the same line. Though it might show one or two lines here and there, but that wouldn't affect the functioning of your code. So unless and until it doesn't affect the functioning of the code, and I think one or two lines is completely okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Navneet.
Ma'am, there are only, this is called as review flow, ma'am, like pull, add, commit, and push. They're main in Git, no, ma'am?
Yes, pull, add, commit, and push. Yes, that is when you are contributing, like when you are trying to access the code of some other repository which is already established. Yes, so what about it?
Ma'am, nothing, ma'am. I wanted to confirm it.
Okay, sure.
Hello, ma'am. Like I have like hosted a web page. I have made a web page and hosted it on my GitHub profile. So can we only host only one web page on the GitHub, or like there is something like we can
You can, as in, hosted a web page, as in,
like I
okay,
have made a simple portfolio web page of
portfolio,
mine.
yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so you can do only one portfolio or web page, Sanjay.
Yes,
You
ma'am. That's
have to,
why.
only one you can do. You cannot do two or three. I have tried it, but I didn't get it. Like I
Yes, ma'am.
have,
I have also tried it.
yes. So I have my portfolio hosted on GitHub as well. I tried for another web application, but that didn't really work. I think you have to go for other options like GoDaddy or something like that.
Yes, but ma'am, I did one thing, like I have created that HTML page and added to the same repository of my
Oh,
portfolio. Added a link to that in the portfolio.
okay, that's really smart. So yeah, I hope the doubts and all have cleared. So let's just go to the next part and choose your organization. I mean, you guys, you know that, you know what is open source and why do we need open source and how to get started with open source, which is to learn Git, and how we have, through the doubt of Sanjay and everybody, we have learned on how to choose our projects and stuff. So, I mean, it's now for you guys to actually choose the organization that matches your skill set, and to get started with everything. So, I mean, it is a little confusing. Like you might feel that, oh my God, Apache is really intimidating, and maybe I should try it. And on the other hand, you might feel some other organization. But I suggest that keep your mind clear and go through everything, and go through everything, and just choose whatever feels right for that matches your skill set. So I think the best time to get started is now. You guys can get started anytime, and you can explore Git. You can simultaneously choose your organizations as well, and this is how you can get connected with your team members. You can contact your mentor. Like I said, every organization has a communication channel where you can ping them. You can get yourself introduced in the organization and ask them that, what are your future ideas? Ask them intelligent questions, guys. Don't ask them silly questions that might irritate them. because everybody is busy and everybody has their schedule, and if there is an intelligent question, it makes a really good impression on your on your profile, on yourself. So you can add really an intelligent question, contact your mentor, find out who is handling the project or something, and just contact him and tell him that I am so and so, I have these ideas, so just tell me about your ideas about the project, and maybe we can work together on it. And that is how relationships are built. So you need to contact, and you need to be out there, come out of your shell, and just be open to everybody. And when you are starting to contribute, you might be excited and you want to actually fix good, you want to add good features to the app, but I suggest you start with fixing minor bugs. Start adding small bugs. Like there might be a project which is crashing at some point, or which has some minor things. Begin with the smaller parts and slowly build yourself to fixing or adding good features. And that is how it works. So begin with fixing minor bugs and stuff. So fix small bugs. That is actually, even the small bugs makes a huge difference, you guys. Don't think it is small. Even the small bug can make a huge difference. So start by slowly fixing smaller bugs so that you can get used to the code, and then slowly work your way through adding good features and help your peers. Like I said, open source is not just about code, it's about the community, it's about building your network and stuff. So when you learn something, make sure you tell it out and you help your peers in the communication channel. If you have found some new tool or something, then you're gonna like, hey, I found a new tool, and I wanted to share it to you guys. So maybe you guys might find it helpful as well. And that is how they'll really appreciate it. So help your peers and be consistent. It's not that if you really, and the one key factor to crack all these Google Summer of Code, Outreach, Hacktoberfest is to be consistent. It's not that 1 month you have contributed so hard and the next month you're vanished, you disappeared. It doesn't work that way. If you make small contributions consistently every month, and that is how you will get recognized in the organization, and people will come to know that, okay, he is consistent. He will be consistent if we choose him as a candidate. So these are some of the key points I wanted to tell you, that open source is all about code, relations, about maintaining your relations with other people, and it is a lifelong journey, guys. So yeah, I think we are done, and I wish a good cheers and all the best. You're almost there. It means if you have come all the way through, it means that you are almost half done. Now you just need to learn the skills and get started about everything. So here are some of the open source organizations, some of the famous organizations, and these organizations are the ones that get selected in Google Summer of Code every year. So these organizations are the ones which get selected throughout, and from the beginning till now, these organizations have been consistent. I'm not sure about FOSSASIA. I don't think FOSSASIA has participated in this year, though we might expect it next year. But apart from that, MIFOS, Wikimedia, Apache, Ceph, Cloud Native, Anita Borg, Git, Hazelcast, Jenkins, and this is a famous. What is this, guys? Anybody can tell me?
VLC Media.
Yes. So this is also, can you believe that VLC Media is an open source organization? That we always used VLC Media to play our videos and stuff, but this is an open source organization, and the good old VLC Media you've been using, and you can actually contribute to make VLC Media better for you guys. So that is how interesting it is. These are some of the open source organizations that you can look into. Git, Git that I've been telling is an open source organization, guys. So it is really that interesting. So pretty much every major product that we're using is open sourced. So it is really good on that. So yeah, I mean, that's it. I've ended my session over here. I hope you guys have learned something from it, and you guys have been a wonderful audience. So by all means, let's be open and jump into open source. Let's get used to open source, and just crack the world of open source. And if you are really enthusiastic, you can make a huge difference in your profile and stuff by contributing to open source.